Hello and welcome back to the Plocast. We are here with our discussion slash review slash breakdown for the finale of The Mandalorian. Now, of season 2. I want to say real quick here, thank you for blowing the crap out of our reaction video.
Insane.
Insane. Well, maybe not for everybody, but considering the video before it got 8 views, and then the reaction got it's on its way to 5,000 and probably more. So thanks for that. That was really cool. Any new subs that we got that are checking in? Thanks for watching some of this breakdown. We do have other stuff for a couple of the episodes of season 2 because we didn't start until after it was halfway done. Makes me kind of wish we started earlier, but that's okay because we're here now, and we're going to talk about our thoughts on the finale of season 2. The first thing that is on everybody's minds, that everybody's flipping out about, that everybody loved, was Luke Skywalker. A lot of things to discuss. Go ahead, Paul, take it away.
Overall, I am psyched. In our episode 7, episode 6, you knew this was the guy I wanted. Yep. This was the Jedi I wanted. But I really didn't think they were going to do it. We thought they were either going to have Mark Hamill come in, which they did, or Sebastian Stan even doing it. But those are two huge names. So we were thinking, if they're going to have Luke, we would know. And sure enough, they kept that secret so well. They brought him back.
Thank God.
I'm still so happy about it.
Yeah, if that wasn't a secret that we knew, like we did with Ahsoka and Katan and Boba,
it wouldn't be the same.
It wouldn't be the same.
It really wouldn't.
Real quick, I believe I've seen a lot of different things online saying what it was, but the person who was Luke, who is his body double in the scenes, was Max Lloyd-Jones, I think. And I've also seen that Matt Rugetti did the stunts, like the lightsaber stuff. And obviously it was Mark Hamill's voice, which was digitally altered to sound younger. Because you could tell when you hear it, he's got the way just Mark says words, but they digitally, and obviously it's Mark's face digitally, changed. So just want to make sure the credit goes out to everybody who took part in making Luke, because it was very good, and just wanted to put that out there because it wasn't just one person that they changed it. It was a bunch of people to bring him onto the screen, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I want to address it. The face. A lot of people hating on the face. I personally think it's a little bit too much in that uncanny valley for me. But I kind of understand that it is a TV show. This isn't the huge $1 billion budget movies that they're cranking out. So I can understand it's a little not up to par with them. But in general, I thought in the moment I wasn't. In the moment, I'm like, yeah, that's Luke Skywalker. It looks like him from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And I was fine with it. Upon rewatching, I'm like, okay, yeah, something's up. I'm not too much a fan, but I could get by on it. Your thoughts on that?
I think there could be arguments made for both sides. Yes, it's a TV show. It's not a movie. It doesn't have the budget of a movie. But it could. This is Disney. The biggest company in the world.
It's true.
With one of the biggest shows right now, and it comes out looking. It looked good. It definitely looked like Mark.
Yeah.
But certain angles, it was weird when he talked, and his mouth, and it was. You could tell right off the bat. I think I don't know if I would say it was better than Tarkin or Leia from Rogue One. I think they seemed about the same. I think of the three, Luke was probably the most noticeable. It was just it kind of looked like his face was just pasted on this guy in sometimes. Other times, you're looking at if he paused, it was a freeze frame. It looked perfect, but some facial, and it's not a picture; it's a moving person. So you're gonna see a lot of. I think they definitely could have done better. I don't think that it was an absolute necessity that they do better, because the result was still, everybody flipped out and it was awesome. But they definitely could have if they wanted to. Probably make it just a little bit better. I know it's tough because that type of technology isn't fully, there yet. Like if you watch Rogue One, Tarkin and Leia look really, I mean, they look good, but you can tell right away. And other movies with that face technology, it's just not there yet. So it's probably a combination of them just not having the budget, limited technology, and them kind of just feeling like they didn't need to, which I could kind of agree with. So it didn't bug me as much as it's bugging a lot of other people, but it's definitely noticeable, and I'm fine with it. Obviously, on rewatch, you notice it more and more, but in the moment,
Yeah.
Like obviously, I noticed it in the moment, but that was like the last thing on my mind was the quality of it. The only thing I was thinking about was, oh my god, that's Luke. You know, you can go check out our reaction. Add to the growing G's if you like. Look at that little plug.
Link in the description.
But there was
no, yeah.
It could have been better, but yeah, I'm fine with what we got. Not as big a deal for me.
I think I agree. I don't think it's that big a deal. A lot of people are flipping out online, but I feel like it's not that big a deal for me because they just got everything else right. We talked about it with Ahsoka, how with the voice we were disappointed, but they picked it up on the mannerisms and the way that she delivered the lines. Same thing here. I know the voice was no problem. It's Mark Hamill, of course, but the mannerisms they had him, the way he did the Force, you pointed out right away. That's the way Luke does it. The way he was slicing through the Darktroopers, that's the way Luke fights. We saw him on Jabba's sail barge and in Return of the Jedi. Like his manner of everything.
Too. When he walked in the Gamorrean guards, he, boom, boom.
Exactly. And even his outfit, which I thought his outfit's kind of weird. I want to, because I picked it up on one of my.
It's definitely not the one from the end of Return of the Jedi.
It's not. He has the belt buckle from Return.
Yeah, he's got like a V robe, like.
But then he has the robes that he wore. He was wearing robes for Jabba's palace.
On the sail barge.
So I think it's like amalgamation of both of those.
Weren't they?
I thought that was just weird.
Weren't they gray though? Like in Return of the Jedi, like the under layer was black, and then the robes were like a little bit of gray in them. I only know that because I was thinking about the Lego set of that scene, and he's got a gray. But it could have been the same robes. It could have not been, but it wasn't like what we saw at the end of the Return of the Jedi with like the flap hanging off.
That's his.
It was definitely different, right?
Yeah.
But it's still. I think it works, especially if he's older and wiser now. It's more lined up with old Jedi type of garb. But yeah, like we were talking about, like there was so many signs. Well, obviously, once the X-wing, as soon as I saw that X-wing, it was like, no, they did not. But from then on, there were just so many, like they were adding little bits that you were like, oh, the X-wing. Obviously, we saw. Then we saw the cloak. Then we saw a lightsaber, but we couldn't see what color because the screen was black and white. But then they showed us the color, and then they showed him using the Force. And if you didn't understand what we're talking about, Luke, when he uses the Force, it's not like he sticks his palm forward like Iron Man. He kind of leaves his hand like parallel and like keeps all of his fingers other than his thumb to get. It's like a weird, like a, kind of like just straight out. And that's how he just does it. That's how he did it in the movies or in Return of the Jedi, at least. So that was a giveaway. The belt buckle for me, I don't know if you, or anybody else, when he like would spin around and I see that big silver belt buckle, I was like, oh, I recognize the shape. Like they just had so many details. Obviously, one hand being gloved and one not, but like there was just and when Grogu, his ears perked up and he looked at this like you were like, well, that's definitely a Jedi then because he could feel the connection. But it was so well done. I think slow, like because not everybody's gonna pick up on that right away. Not everybody who's into it as much. Maybe people have seen the movies once, they saw the prequels, maybe they didn't watch any shows, they're watching this for the first time. Not everybody's going to pick up on it right away, and I think they did a good job of making it interesting for fans who instantly knew what was happening, and also fans who it took them a little bit longer to figure it out.
Yeah, one thing about The Mandalorian, because it's such a mainstream show now, is that like if you're just watching it, you should be able to know what's going on without any knowledge of Star Wars. And like I have one of my friends like asked me, and at the time I was like, well, he asked me, was that Luke Skywalker at the end? At the time I was like, dude, are you stupid? Of
Are
course,
you
like
kidding?
because I was like so hyped about it. But
Yeah.
it just shows that like people don't know, but I think the thing that's special about that is you can just tell how like powerful, what a presence Luke has. Every single Dark Trooper stops what they're doing to attack him. The way Moff Gideon reacts, I think, really puts it together.
Look on his
Like
face. He
we
was
see
like, "Oh shoot!"
the look on his face. Cara Dune says, "One X-wing, yeah," or like she gives that comment, and you can see like the color running from his face. Giancarlo Esposito, great actor, but
Wonderful.
I like that, like just the world building in itself. Like he tries to kill himself rather than face Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Because like to him, Luke Skywalker is the man who blew up the first Death Star, killed the Emperor, killed Darth Vader, blew up the second Death Star. Like this guy is insane. Like I would be scared. I would be shaking in my boots.
Oh yeah.
And the way they portrayed that, like it's just the world building in and of itself, and only in the show is just it's so good. It's so good for first time viewers and people who are new to Star Wars in general.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, adding to your thing about people not knowing, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, they don't say Luke Skywalker in the episode, but in the credits, it's not Luke Skywalker. It just says Jedi. There's no name drop, no name written anywhere, unless it's much later in the credit. But at least the main cast credits, it just says Jedi. Doesn't say Luke, doesn't say Skywalker, doesn't say anything. Just says Jedi. So technically, it's possible for those. Maybe this is the only Star Wars thing somebody has seen, or something, some weird scenario like that. So it wouldn't be, impossible for somebody to not know who that was, because they didn't specifically say this is Luke Skywalker. He didn't come in and say, "Hello, I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you," or like some throwback line like that. But still, just overall, really good job implementing him into the show in a natural way. Unless you have anything else on Luke, I want to move on here because if we'll just keep talking about how great it was for an hour.
Oh yeah, I could harp on him forever, but let's get moving.
Next up, the thing I wanted to talk about was just general Mandalorian stuff. We seem to do that a lot because there's a lot of Mandalorian characters in the show.
It is the Mandalorian.
So when they get to that cantina and they're talking to Bo-Katan, we get, I guess technically this would be confirmation that Boba Fett is not a Mandalorian. Straight up, she's like, "You are not Mandalorian." He says, "Never said I was." So that puts an end to the debate of, is it passed down? Like, can you just take that mantle? Like, so for him, it's just the armor because it was his father's, and that is, has meaning to him. But he is not a Mandalorian. That whole interaction, though, that was just really, really cool. They were just like bashing him for being a clone, like trying to like roast him, and he was like saying lines back. I thought it was really cool. I think the exact line was like, he was like, "This armor was my father's," and she goes, "You mean your donor?" Because he's a clone. It was just really well done. But yeah, there is confirmation that he is not, in fact, a Mandalorian or a true Mandalorian.
Yeah, more about that. The bar scene in general was awesome. Seeing Boba and Casca Reeves fighting, I think shows both of them like they can really stand for their own. It shows how, like, Casca Reeves, you might just think as a side character. No, she's a badass Mandalorian. She can hold her own with Boba Fett, which was awesome. The super raw line when she says, "I've heard your voice 1,000 times."
1,000 times.
And he's like, "Maybe mine will be the last you'll hear." Oh my goodness. That was awesome. I talked about that in the reaction, how Boba's becoming the badass. I always knew he was. I don't want to harp on that. But in this scene and like on the others, you can kind of tell like Boba isn't like, he's just helping out because he feels he's honor indebted to Mando to get the child back. And you could see him throwing, like he was calling Casca Reeves princess and little one, like, those terms, like, so he's not like part of the gang. So him leaving to do his own spinoff, I think makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah. He's
like,
not really a good guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's just there. and then he's like, "All right, cool, you guys are good. I'm off to start my own criminal empire." Yep.
Yeah.
But I think that setup's perfect, and
yes,
we'll get later into the show spinoff too, because that's exciting. But yeah, that bar scene was awesome.
I thought it was interesting to think about. Normally, if you don't think about it too much, you'd be like, "Oh, why is Bo-Katan all mad? She, the clones helped her take back Mandalore." But Order 66 happened while the clones were still on Mandalore, so that was probably one of the first planets that was just taken into the Empire. So immediately following this, Bo-Katan comes back, or she's, wherever, or I think she didn't go with them. She stayed Mandalore. But immediately following this big thing with Maul, she just got her planet back. And now these clones who just fought with her to help take back her planet suddenly turn, and not like firing it, but like taking over the planet for the Empire. So she would definitely feel some resentment towards clones and just generally be, not a fan, especially after the Empire would, because that at that point the clones were part of the Empire, and it was, part of their job was to, take over these planets. So her being especially bitter towards Boba instead of like, "Oh, you're a clone. Yeah, I know you." It definitely makes sense when you think about her last contact with clones. And I thought that was, interesting. How it's always great to see how much attention to detail they put into, little character bits. Katie Sackhoff was great. It's so weird hearing Bo-Katan because it's her. She plays Bo-Katan in the Clone Wars. It's just hearing that voice, but in live action and seeing it on somebody. It's weird in a good way. I don't know. I just thought that would be worth bringing up.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so on the topic of Bo-Katan, there was a big old conflict here that has been set up for next season. Din is now the owner of the Darksaber, which you can only win by beating someone in combat. So we have ourselves a little bit of a predicament here, because he can't just hand it over.
I have a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
My frame of reference for this, I'll tell you what I know. I know you know more about the Darksaber and Mandalorian because of Rebels.
Yes.
I want you to speak on that.
Paul has not seen Rebels, by the way.
Yes. Rebel series coming soon on the channel.
Already recorded 3 episodes.
But I get the whole thing that it needs to be won. But if my memory is correct, in Season 7, Darth Maul kills Pre Vizsla and takes Mandalore, takes the rightful throne, and then Bo-Katan says, "You didn't do it correctly, so I'm leaving." And that's why her set came off, and then she used the Republic to win it back from Maul. And then, from what I know about Rebels, is Sabine gives it to her, and she accepts no problem. And now here for me, it really doesn't make sense. And then now here in the bridge with Moff Gideon, Din never killed Moff Gideon. He made him yield. So, does there need to be this epic fight? Or is it just you yield? Because Moff Gideon yielded the saber to Din. And he's trying to yield to Bo-Katan. Like, what if they just say, "Okay, we'll fight, but just don't kill me, and I'll lose, no matter what," and then you could have it. Like, I feel like this is easily avoidable, but I'm not too sure about, the Rebel stuff. Just from, my aspect, it just seems like Bo-Katan's being, I don't know, weird about it. Just take the saber.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I'm gonna go off on a little bit of that because I'm trying to. The first thing you were talking about, Maul took the Darksaber in season, it was 5 or something. I thought it was more Bo-Katan was leaving and her group was leaving because they didn't like this outsider coming in and just suddenly taking over their people. They felt like it wasn't fair, wasn't right, because the fight itself was right. I mean, and I don't think you have to kill the person, but Maul obviously would. And Vizsla, except they did combat and Maul won. If he wanted to, he could have probably locked Vizsla up in prison and just ruled. But obviously Maul wouldn't do that, just hypothetically. So I don't think you need to kill the person. I on purpose didn't look up any videos explaining it fully because I wanted to get our initial thought rather than me just regurgitating what some other video said. I'll probably, look it up later. Because we're both probably, having some facts wrong. I don't think
Yeah.
you need to kill the person. I think Bo-Katan and their group was upset because Maul was an outsider, and he kind of just like didn't really care. I think like he was using it more for at least in my eyes, he was using it more as like, this will help me do this, and this will further my agenda, rather than I want to be the ruler of this great people. Which that's just my thought. I don't think that that's ever been confirmed, but I think she says it. Bo-Katan like says it at some point. She yells at Maul, and then they run away and they fight. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the reason I'm okay with how it went, without getting into spoilers for Paulie here, because he's not seen Rebels, I'll get into it because you already know that Sabine gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber. Yes. At that point, all the clans, or at least members from all the clans, are there. They all want her to lead. They all want her to be the leader. Sabine is like, I know the reason I found this saber. It wasn't to lead, but it was to find the leader. At first, Bo-Katan doesn't want it because she feels like she's failed her people. Like, obviously, because the Empire came and they took Mandalore while she was leading. So that was very short-lived. She didn't want it right away. And at the point when Sabine gives it to her, after she says no a bunch of times, there's other Mandalorians there from pretty much all of the clans that are relevant, and a lot of members from each, and they're like, no, we support you. If you do this, we will follow you. And it's like Sabine, I guess she did give it up. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't combat. And like what Sabine most likely wasn't going to do it. So what choice do you have? Plus, it's the will of your people is for you to be the leader. I think this is a mental thing. This is what why Moff Gideon's such a good like character. He's in her head. I think he won it from her in a fight, or I don't remember if he took it, or if they said that he took it, or if he won it. And he's taunting her, and like it's like, oh yeah, I won your saber. Ooh, look at me, I got your dinky little thing. And she wants to do it the right way to show him that she is better than him. Because if Mando just hands it over and she takes it, Moff Gideon could be like, oh yeah, I had to get your Mando friend to beat me to do it, huh? She does not want any part in simply just taking it. She wants to be the one to defeat Gideon. She wants to be the one to show him that he's not as strong as her. And he wants to take back like leadership of her people from the people that wiped out, because the Empire, like there was the purge afterwards where they took out a lot of remaining Mandalorians. I think it's a mental thing for her where Gideon has rubbed it in so much to the point where she has to win it back in the fair way. I don't know. That's just, I feel like it's like a mental thing. If she really, really wanted, she could take it, but she would feel wrong about it. Whereas before it was, the will of her people, and it was, for like the greater cause of leading this, what was left of basically all of her people and her family and all that. Rather this time it's more, she just wants to shut Gideon up. She wants to do it the right way because she's already lost her planet countless times and her people, and so she wants to get it right this time. She doesn't want it to just be handed to her again, because she already had it handed to her once. And she's like, well, if I'm going to finally get this thing, I want to do it the right way. Which is why, that's pretty much why I'm all right with it. At first I was like, that doesn't really, but once I think about it and all the context between the past and how she's had it before, I don't mind it too much.
Now, I guess this is kind of tangential, but like, just like, so if I'm Mando, she wants to win it back. She doesn't want to fight Mando, right? So, but she doesn't want to take it from Mando. So what if Mando gives it back to Moff Gideon? But now, since Moff Gideon didn't win it, that's not right. Like, I feel like there's a lot that we don't really know.
Yeah. And who's to say Gideon would even take it back?
Yeah, just that too.
This,
he'll probably just say, "No, you guys gotta battle it out."
Yeah. I'm sure there's more actual rules like whether you can get it that way or not. But I just haven't looked anything up yet because I wanted to talk about our thoughts on it. But
yeah. Well, the thing is too, we watch a ton of Star Wars, and just from our knowledge, like, because if someone's generally, like we said, a newcomer to Star Wars watching the just the Mandalorian, like this would make even less sense to them. So I feel like maybe they're leaving that very open ended on purpose. That's probably going to be season 3 territory. But yeah, there's just a lot of like seeming loopholes that, like, I don't know. It was a point that I was like, come on. But hopefully, like, I feel like they've done everything so far. They fleshed out awesomely.
And
like,
they probably will,
again,
like you said.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be a season 3 thing.
And there's a lot of Star Wars out there, so there's a good chance we've just forgotten. There's a lot of stuff to forget, like and there's probably like I said 100 times, there's probably more facts that we don't have. Like I don't know, maybe there's even like a full list of the Mandalorian rules or something, like on a sticky note, like on the fridge or something. But basically, how I see it is she wants to do it the right way, just to show Gideon that she's worthy of it. Because before, her people already thought her worthy. They already wanted her to lead. They were like, no, this is you. But this time it's kind of, I feel like she's like, well, I have to do this the right way to show these people that I can still do this. Because if she just gets handed it to her, it's again, she's like, well, I didn't really earn it. What if I fail again? Because I didn't earn it and I'm not good enough. So I think it's a big mental thing. It's something she can't just, take. Watch, they're gonna make all of this irrelevant. The first episode, she's like, you know what? All right, I'll take it. It just grabs it from Mando.
Okay, no problem, guys.
I guess they could have an actual fight. Because I'm pretty sure you don't have to kill the person. Once Maul beat Vizsla, before he killed Vizsla, he had the saber, and he was technically the one in power, and then he just killed him. I don't like I also said, I don't know if you have to kill, I don't think you have to kill the person, because as we saw, Gideon is still alive. You just have to best them in combat. So we could see a type of fight, like a fight between them for it. But they'll definitely talk about it more. There's probably stuff we're missing. And for me personally, once I thought about it a little more, I don't mind it too much. I don't mind it as much as other people seem to, be having a problem with it. I think it kind of makes sense for a character. The only part that is off about me is the rules. But character-wise, I think it makes sense.
I feel like another thing too is, like, all these rules. I feel like in universe, there's contention already, and like with Maul when he seized power, you saw half the Mandalorians went with Bo-Katan, if that, but half stayed. He had his Mandalorians, which I think were super cool looking.
Yeah, got my Black Series over there.
Yeah, so good. But it just goes to, I think that's all this open-endedness that's even within the universe with the different clans and factions. Like Mando himself is part of a cult group even.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool too. Just, I don't know. We've said it before, when you can talk this much about an aspect of the show, they're definitely doing something right.
Yeah.
But I don't want to speculate too much more, because we'll definitely have answers in the future. But I do want to highlight, like you already hit it a bit, but Moff Gideon, the way he's been playing this out, expertly.
A genius.
I love how they're writing him. And I feel like Giancarlo Esposito, he's kind of typecast for this type of villain.
Yeah,
where he's like the smart, Breaking Bad.
He does it well.
He does it perfectly.
Yeah.
But as soon as they got onto his cruiser, onto his ship, he's pretty much already lost. Like, there's not really a lot he can do unless the Dark Troopers win it over. But even then, his plan B is to hold the lightsaber over Grogu and barter with Mando that way. And then he has that deal. All right, next plan is to turn on Mando immediately. And then they start fighting. Okay, then he's lost. Now he's in the bridge. All right, plan D or plan C, he sneaks a rifle and he's trying to kill Bo-Katan and Baby Yoda. Then, or I guess this might have been before, but now he's trying to get them to do infighting. Yeah, like, this guy has so many.
And he also tried to shoot himself at one point.
And he says, "Just assume I know everything." He said that line to Mando. I rewatched it today, and that is like, I think that sums up his character. He's just almost omniscient, and it's so nice. They're writing him so well. These are the type of villains I like. The intellectual. He was pretty good with the Darksaber, but he's not like a brute. He knows what he's doing. He's like manipulative. It's awesome. I feel like they're keeping him alive for a reason. I feel like we're going to see more of him. He's going to escape somehow or something. And I definitely want that because I want to see him. Yeah, I want to see more of that Moff Gideon being in charge and like manipulating people. I don't know. I love that.
It's definitely good. I don't think he lost right away. I don't think that he lost. I think he won, actually. If Luke doesn't show up, he was right. He was sitting there. They're going to break through, and the only ones that will be left alive are me and Grogu and the child. So he won. He outplayed them. When he was in the cell, one of my favorite scenes of his character in the whole show, when he was in there, he was like, "Oh yeah, I bet your team's up. I know I know you've been with Bo-Katan. I know she wants a saber back. Oh, I know you guys have killed everyone in the bridge. I know they're in there now looking for me." He knew everything they were going to do. I'm pretty sure he knew, even when Boba and the Slave One were, they were doing that stunt. The look on his face, he was like, "This is something's up here."
Something's up.
If Luke didn't show up, he would have won. That's just how it is. The death there was like 39 of them left. Like that just shows like how thought out this plan was, and his, or at least how well he's able to, to think things through and figure people out. He manipulated the connection with Din and the child to try to catch him off guard and hit him with the saber. He hit the jetpack, which if that wasn't Beskar, Mando is dead. Backstabbed him right there. So he's definitely a top tier character. He's definitely really, really good at figuring these guys out. Because I think he won, basically. If Luke hadn't showed up and literally just destroyed all of the Dark Troopers, Gideon wins.
One thing I kind of oh no, you go ahead. Do you have more on Moff Gideon?
No, I was just looking for something else.
Well, all right. No, so I want to segue off in that prison cells thing, where he's trying to make that agreement with Din. I really like that scene because it just shows the development of Mando. And there's more in the end. I'll harp on that too. But we see Mando from season 1. He's play by the rules type of guy. He's in the cold. He never takes his mask off. Even with the Bounty Hunters Guild, he's doing things by the book. But then, out of character, he sees Grogu. He doesn't. He doesn't turn in, or he does. He turns in his bounty, but then he goes back. He goes back.
Yeah.
And that's the first.
He takes the Beskar, and then he goes back.
But that's the first thing we see. We know this guy, play by his book. He does everything right, and he's shifting. Now, flash forward to now, he's ready to turn. Like, he agreed with Bo-Katan, who's a part of pretty much his family, his race, the Mandalorians. He agreed to let her get to Moff Gideon. But now he's straight up ready to say, "Nope, you can escape. I only care about the child."
Yeah.
And then later on, when Luke comes and he's letting Grogu go, he takes off his mask.
Second time this season.
Exactly. But all of this has been for Grogu. It's all been that. And just seeing Din Djarin develop as a character, all surrounding that, like, father figure, whatever you want to call it, like, just seeing him change his ways is just crazy. He's become such a different character than when we first met him. And I think, like, they're doing it so well because, like, even he was ready to kill Boba Fett and the Marshal, I'm forgetting his name, from episode 1, season 2. But he's ready to kill these guys for wearing Mandalorian armor incorrectly. Yeah, Cobb Vanth. He's ready. He's literally, I'll shoot you dead right now and take it off your cold dead corpse because you're violating my creed. And then now, because of Grogu, he's violating his own creed. So he's just maturing and becoming like a more well-rounded person, I guess. But just seeing his character develop and change, and he's not even sure with his morals, where he's going. It's just the conflict within him is so relatable, and like a lot of people are flack on Star Wars for sometimes having one-dimensional like protagonists. I know Rey, who I personally agree with. Rey's no good. Even Cal Kestis, they were trying like he didn't really develop like, but Din Djarin is definitely just so much inside him, internal conflict, and in this episode alone, there's just so much.
Oh yeah,
and in that scene, but I wanted to get on that.
Yeah. Quickly on that, I think a big part of this changing is him finding out that his Mandalorian way, his group of Mandalorians, is just like a small little splinter like cell of actual all of Mandalore. Like when Bo-Katan and the gang show up and they take off their helmets and they're like, oh, he's one of these guys. Look at this dude. He's like, what? Wait a minute, what? His whole worldview has just been shattered. He's like, there's like I'm like the minority here. Like I think a big part of that is him trying to learn to be himself, and like I don't know. I think it's just him realizing that there's other groups that do it a lot differently, and that he's only a small part of this group. These people, really was another thing that made him start to lean away from it. But I hope we do see more of that, because this is about him. This show is about him, and I want them to keep going on that. So, general things about the episode. I wanted to talk about. We know that there was a purge of Mandalore, or of Mandalorians. The Empire wiped a good chunk of them out. I think it's like a majority of them are dead. Boba has a line where he says the Empire glassed that planet. I don't know if that's a Star Wars. That could be a thing from a Star Wars book. There's also a certain weapon in Rebels. I don't want to talk about because of spoilers, but if you know what I'm talking about, which it doesn't really. I don't think it would fit that definition, but the glass that turn. I feel like there's something more to that. It might just be me, because when I heard that, the first thing I thought about was Halo. Now, Paul has not played Halo.
No, I have not.
In Halo, glassing is when, it's like orbitally bombarding planets with like these big plasma blasts, and it melts the area and makes this material that's very similar to glass, and ends up being like a nuclear winter because there's this ash and everything, but like basically just like this big plasma beam that blows up, and it's like a nuclear detonation, but it's kind of like it makes everything into this glass like material and like burns everything. So that's what I thought about. I kind of want to see exactly what happened. I don't know if we'll get any of that at all. It might have been in a book or something, or and I don't mean like throwaway lines. I mean like actually seeing, the fall, I guess, of Mandalore. Because I could, unless Boba was just, unless that's just like a slang term for got like destroyed, but that was interesting for me as I've heard it in other franchises. So that's just why that stuck out of me. It could be nothing. It could just be like just a random throwaway line. But I just want to have it documented in case, I predict something. We could even see it in the Bad Batch. Maybe because that's where we left off with Clone Wars. Maybe there's a little bit here. Maybe they send the Bad Batch to Mandalore to help take it over or something. But obviously, we would have to be way later on, because the Purge, I'm assuming when it happened, it was during the Purge, which was well after the Clone Wars. I don't know. But I think it could be an interesting path for them to take if at some point we could, or maybe just in a book or something, or a comic, like we actually see, because I want to know what happened to Mandalore and like what it looks like now. Like, are there any survivors? Are there people just in camps, like these little, just in the mud and the dirt, just in little hidey holes that the Empire doesn't know about? What happened to the cities and like the moons? Like, is Concordia still there? People in Concordia? I kind of want to see if we could see maybe Mando and Bo-Katan going to Mandalore, or like exploring some of the past. I think it'd be really cool for us to be able to see Mando, especially in live action, like those blocky cube cities, but in live action, I think would be really cool in the domes. But I'd like to see Mandalore at some point.
I think with the now that they have the Darksaber, I feel like that's definitely an avenue they can take. Because like, that is a thing to unite. Like supposedly now Bo-Katan's gonna, well, she doesn't have it yet, but she wants to go back there and start over and reunite her people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like glass, I don't think it's ever been used before. I know they are bringing in new slang terms. One of our favorites is dank fair.
Dank fair.
So like it could be, but I feel like glass is like a weird thing. I feel like it's said for a reason. And like Mandalore already was a wasteland. It's been war torn for millennia, and they only had the dome cities, the cube ones. And then on top of that, we have the purge. So it's definitely going to be a real, like, almost a wasteland. Maybe no one's left. Maybe there's just a couple people. But yeah, seeing that in live action is, I feel like that's something they definitely can do. Something I want to see. But I don't know. I'm not sure if we'll see that. I feel like from season 1, I had a good idea where this show was going to go. But from season 2 to 3, I could see it going a lot of places.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we could never see Grogu again. It's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he'll make a cameo, but it's possible that he is just done as a main character. There's a lot of different ways they could take it. One scene I wanted to talk about was at the beginning of the episode. I really liked the interaction between Cara Dune and that Imperial pilot, the back and forth between where they were talking about, oh yeah, I was there. Alderaan blew up because her little teardrop, it's like that little rebel, like songbird or whatever it's called, starbird or something. Apparently that's a sign of like solidarity. I looked it up. It's like for solidarity for survivors of Alderaan. So that's how he noticed that. And they're going back at each other. Oh yeah, which Death Star? Ooh. And he talks about how a lot of millions of people died on when the Death Stars blew up. A lot of these people could have been just like unwillingly forced to serve in the Empire. Like we saw in like Rogue One, all those Galen Erso and all of his engineers were probably just like captured and taken to work there. And then they get blown up by rebel bombs. Well, at least Galen does. And that's always been, probably since the movies came out, was been a big thing. Well, what about all these people? A lot of them could have been innocent, or still they're people. And they're all just dead. And I thought that pilot specifically was like a really intriguing character for some reason. Like he just stood out to me. The other pilot's like, wait, no, we can make it to E. Just blast him right in the back. Made me kind of think about how the Empire sees it as like they hate these. They're like resenting them. Like you killed, like, oh, my friend was on the Death Star, or just stuff like that. Like they probably are really just, obviously they see them as terrorists. They call them terrorists all the time, but like just more so because all of these lives that were lost, Imperial or not, they're on the Death Stars, on both of them. And he's like, oh yeah, well, we blew up Alderaan. It was worthy, it was to get rid of you terrorists, or whatever the line was. I just thought that, and Cara Dune getting so mad to the point where she just shoots him right in the face. That whole interaction I thought was really interesting, and wanted to mention it.
I think it was an excellent cold open, specifically on the coattails of last episode, because it reminds us that, yeah, the Empire is definitely the bad guys. Because last episode we had, Mando and Mayfeld, they were having drinks with one of the officers. Like they ended up redeeming, like, oh, these are definitely the bad guys, with the conversation with Phelan Hess, I think was the officer's name. But we had a lot of sympathy for the Empire last episode, with them cheering, saluting, shaking hands with everyone. And then jump forward to this one. Like you said, there's the co-pilot, like, he doesn't care about the Empire. He's like, yeah, I don't care at all. I'll turn coat right now. I just want to live. But another guy who is a loyalist shoots him right in the back.
Yeah.
And then he goes on his tangent about, but yeah, it just shows the Empire is bad. And one thing I want to mention, I'm a rebel guy all the way. And the way I see it, dude, Death Star, like, I don't have any sympathy for this guy. Maybe some, definitely not this guy. But the Death Stars, both of them, those were military bases. That's a lot different than a civilian planet.
Yeah.
So
I
like,
didn't know.
nah,
I wasn't
dude.
like defending it, but I was
No,
saying
I
like
I
it's
get you for sure. I'm coming at him. Like, nah, dude, you're kind of
a
wrong on that one.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it was an excellent cold open. Specifically, like it was just perfect. Just to like, yeah, we're fighting the bad guys for sure. Don't get that twisted.
I know we're getting close to an hour, so a couple other things. We'll try to go through quickly. Can the Darksaber or lightsabers in general bend Beskar? Because we saw when the spear was hitting the Darksaber, it glowed like red hot, the spear. And when you're working with metal, you have to heat it up till it's that around that temperature, and then you can shape it. You can make, there's molds that press any that's earth metals on Earth. Obviously, Beskar could be completely different. But I was just interesting thought. Could that be a possible? Like, could it? I was half expecting like them to be holding it for a while, and then like Gideon to just grab the spear and like pull it towards him and push the saber for him forward and like bend the spear so like it's crooked. We know it can't. Obviously, it can't cut through exactly. It can't because it's pure Beskar. But I think them showing that it had an effect was brings up an interesting point because I mean, like I said, it could be completely different because Beskar could work in a entirely different way, just like every material in all of Star Wars. But it definitely glowed hot to like how you would see, in metal working on Earth.
Yeah, there's definitely a temperature that you need to get to because we've seen it. Like obviously, all of Mando's armor was forged.
Yeah.
We saw the armor and that staff. So there is a temperature that you can to make it molten. I feel like it glowing red. For me, I was more on the side that all right, maybe it just makes it for a cool shot. I
Oh yeah,
feel like
definitely looks
it
cool.
would take a while. Like if they were going at it a while, I feel like sure he could bend it, but I feel like practically, I don't think that'll occur.
Yeah.
It is, but it is interesting because we've never seen it heat up like that
Right.
before.
Well, other than
Also,
it
we've
being
never
melted
seen the
down.
Darksaber. Yeah, so it is interesting, and a lot of the stuff they've been doing so far has been done for a reason. So who knows? They might bring it back again.
Filoni,
Um,
you little snake! I caught you.
he's got stuff planned for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was definitely a cool scene. That fight between them was really cool. I know Pedro
Mhm.
Pascal. I'm a big Game of Thrones guy. He's worked with spears before. This time it turned out better than last.
Yeah.
But Moff Gideon too. He did pretty well with the lightsaber.
Yeah.
I don't think he was using any forms of saber
Yeah, he's not
combat.
traditionally trained either. He held pretty well, I think,
But he
against
held
the.
his own. He held
Yeah,
his own, which again speaks to just Moff Gideon being an awesome character.
yeah. I wanted to just like round off. I had a couple bullet point type things. I thought it was. I thought the shots of when the TIE fighters were launching was really cool. Like we got first person perspective from the pilot, and we saw it like get launched out of the hangar between the two like prongs to the front of the ship, his light cruiser, and just like cool shots like that. Just seeing from their point of view, it getting launched right out of the tube. I thought that was cool. I tried to count like the glowing lights around the holding chamber for each Darktrooper, and I counted about 40, I think. Moff Gideon does say it's a platoon. And I don't think a platoon has an exact number. I think it could be like between, but I think 40 would fit in the ranges of a platoon of these troopers, these droids. One thing I kind of once the hype wasn't well, there was still hype when I rewatched, but once like I knew it was happening, this show always there's it seems like every character just doesn't go for Din's weak spots. Like there's so
Yeah,
many places between the like in the elbows, like in below his weight, like the dark troopers like punching his helmet at like, and you think they were, and the guy was even like, oh yeah, we got rid of the humans because they're the weakness. So you would think this droid would see, oh, this isn't doing anything. Me punching him in the head isn't doing anything. Maybe I'll just punch him right in the gut where there's no armor. But I guess the punching like that it would be more menacing. I guess just for the shot, it was definitely cool, and I guess it's consistent because throughout the whole show, that's just how it's been. People just shoot the armor, they hit the armor, they don't go for any of the weak spots. There's something to point out because it's something that we've seen the whole time. Like these are supposed to be these super intelligent droids, and they're just like They keep going for the armor, or at least the one that he fought. I think it was kind of like he's just punching his head. It's doing nothing. He's like his head is going into the wall of the ship.
Into
At
the
that
wall.
point, I would think he's like a little dazed. I think that's when you like maybe like shoot him in the gut or like hit him in the gut or something, or like his arm or like a weak spot where there's no armor. Same in the Gideon fight. Like he's keeps just hitting him. A lot of that is Mando blocking. I'm not saying that's like a bad thing, but like it's just something that I noticed they've been doing the whole time. Oh well. What are you gonna do? It's a space show. Like a couple things left for me. Pershing says M count at one point, which I'm pretty sure is midichlorian count. Obviously,
Shout out midichlorians. I'm a huge midichlorian fan.
I feel like you could just hear the sarcasm in that. But I feel like they didn't want to drop the word just because people would be like, but they just wanted
they
to
haven't
know.
said it. They've always said M count or talked about it the Force in the normal way.
That would be the only thing the only way they could, use Grogu to benefit would be to take his blood, which has many chlorians, as we know.
That's true.
So they had to, and I think saying M count, is like their little science slang term for it, while also not fully name dropping it. That was cool. We saw code cylinders. I like seeing those. I don't know. I just want to. I like their little pockets they have for them. They just whip them out.
Yeah. I like them too.
There's an episode of Rebels, like almost entire, where that's like a big plot piece. I won't get into it too much. These have been Rogue One too. I just watched Rogue One last night, which is why I got all the Rogue One. My mom and I are watching the entire Star Wars saga chronologically, including shows. We finished everything up until Rogue One. She's seen the originals dozens of times, but we're going to watch them again anyway with all this context because she wants to do that. And then we'll get into Mandalorian. So just cool, like they've always been doing this whole time, little details connecting the rest of the universe. And that was about it for all of my notes.
I want to fire off a couple bullets.
Go ahead, go for
it. First one, they did the kind of woman squad again, which I want to point out again because they've done it. They did it well the first time. They did it well again. With Bo-Katan, Casca Reeves, Fennec, and Cara Dune. Them just patrolling through the hallways, lighting up the normal stormtroopers. I think it was awesome. Yep. So definitely
taking over that because taking over the bridge by themselves.
Yeah, and they're not forcing it, but in that something I do want to address the weapon jam. That's something I'm not a fan with. My understanding of blasters in general is they're not very mechanical. It's a magazine of gas that gets charged up, and that's what the laser is. So I don't really know the mechanics behind it of how it could jam, but I feel like we've literally never seen it before. Maybe they're trying to build the universe up. In the moment, I even said, like, come on, they just did that to show Cara Dune beating the fools up. Like, she's a UFC fighter.
But that was definitely awesome. That was awesome. The sole reason the gun got jammed. But I guess jammed, it could just have a different meaning. Like maybe like you just need to smack it a couple times to get the maybe something's wrong with like the energy because it's not like you can't just like whip like a magazine with like bullets in it. It's some sort of like you were saying like it's not as mechanical as like our guns. Like we're at the point where you could just somebody could just write a canon explanation and we just have to go with it because they could just that's because this part of the gun and the thing and like you can't argue against it because you're like I don't know anything about the science of Star Wars blasters, so I guess you're right. Like it was definitely just so she could bash stormtroopers with it. And also the little bit in the elevator where she smacks it against her and she's like, excuse me. That was really fun.
I don't know. I know they could overheat. I would have preferred that. That kind of drew me out of the movie with the jam. Yeah,
but I guess that would because it's like she's just shooting so much and she's got all this emotion. She doesn't realize that she's overheated. It does have it has 2 drum mags though, or like one mag that has 2 drums on it. So are the drums like energy, like laser, like not bullets, but like laser individual charges or something. Because it has a
From what
mat
I
like
understand, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just gas. I don't know if they
yeah,
come in little cartridges, like a bullet comes, like it's, but I'm pretty sure it's gas, and the weapon charges it up somehow and
right,
shoots it out. Um, so that's always been my understanding, and I know, like, of course, that could overheat. That's a lot of heat going into it,
yeah,
so you need to let it cool off. And then if you run out of gas, like we saw Mando this season, one of his blasters ran out of ammo, quote unquote, or gas. I always thought it was
yeah.
gas, but I don't know. Never seen a weapon jam before. I guess like if they're gonna make this, like, I feel like it's okay. It's kind of world building, but definitely in the moment took me out of
Yeah, you could definitely tell that it was just for the scene.
it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine. Like, it doesn't bother me too much. People get mad, like these little things like this. People just start like getting mad. And they're like, "I hate that episode was
Oh,
terrible solely because of." I'm not like
yeah.
that.
I'm not mad like that. Just
Yeah.
something to point out. And then one last thing, kind of a funny one
Yeah.
to end on. I purposely saved it. R2D2.
Oh,
You mentioned it. He's been the only one to appear in every single Star Wars media. That's
yeah,
awesome. I
yeah.
knew him and C-3PO were in every side or main movie. I didn't know, like, every
Hmm.
single piece. That's awesome. But last time R2D2 interacted with Grogu, or one of his species, Yoda, Yoda was hitting him over the head with his cane and
Yeah.
stealing Luke's snacks. So I don't know, like, R2D2, he was looking at him. They kind of had an interaction. In my headcanon, again, we always talk about headcanon, but my headcanon is R2D2 going, "Oh my, another one of these
Oh,
clowns."
so your headcanon is that R2 is a racist. Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. You heard it here first. R2D2 is a racist. He
Confirmed.
definitely hates.
He hates all green
But
creatures.
I was thinking about that, and I saw someone else mention it in their video, and I was like, yeah, like, I'm not the only one thinking about R2D2 got beat up by by a different green guy with pointy ears, so he
Yeah,
might
this
not be too happy to
species.
see another one.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean,
But
we just watched
yeah,
the episode with C-3PO and R2 of Rebels. That was the last episode we watched. It was the third
yeah,
episode. That's a good segue into talking about that. We will be having a Rebels rewatch reaction series. Paul's not seen Rebels. I have. We will both be individually reacting to each other and the episode. Um, Last thing here, we completely forgot it. The Boba Fett spinoff. We didn't say a word about it, and we're
yeah.
well over an hour, but that's okay. This is a special episode.
Hey,
That fat Bib Fortuna is just something
that's
I did not
hilarious.
expect I was ever going to see. Is it Fortuna or Tuna? I think it's Fortuna.
Fortuna. Yeah.
Yeah. But chubby Bib is not something I expect to see. I love how ruthless Boba was. He just didn't say a word, just mid sentence, just blasts
Yep.
him.
He didn't even let Bit Fortuna finish his sentence.
Yeah,
He's just
chucks
like,
him off the
you're
chair.
dead. Awesome.
I kind of expected. I thought it'd been funny. Boba walks up, he's standing in front of him, and Bib just like opens the Rancor pit. Boba just falls in. But it didn't happen. I'm excited for this show, and Fennec seems to be like she will be, a big character. Fennec like just suddenly became like she's gonna be in Bad
We're
Batch, and
getting
now
a
she's
lot of her.
in this. She's in season
Yep.
2. Everybody thought she was just gonna be in the one episode. Now she's in season 2. She's in Bad Batch. She'll be in the Boba Fett show probably. Um, but that was also a time jump because Fennec was on the light cruiser at the end of the episode,
Mm-hmm.
so we know that eventually they part ways. But I'm really excited for that. I was funny if you see in the reaction. I was like, they always go back to Tatooine, and then
Yeah,
that was the last
of
thing that we
course.
got. Um, but I think it'll be cool, like Boba running his, like I guess it would be about Boba building up his dynasty or his, being a prominent figure of Tatooine. Is he Boba the Hutt now? Is that how it works?
I don't know if we're
Is
going
it
that far.
because it's like a
um,
title too, isn't it? Along with the speak, I don't know.
oh,
They'll.
I'm not sure.
But what are your
But
thoughts on the show?
this is another one that's really high up there for me.
Hmm.
Again, I was talking about how Boba's always been just one of my favorite characters, just from looks alone.
Oh yeah.
Now they're redeeming him. I like because they kind of did the same thing with Maul with how his crime syndicate. We got a lot of it in Clone
Hmm.
Wars. Just briefly mentioned in Solo Story. There's more comics about it too, and now seeing Boba kind of following that same path. I've talked about the parallels between both of their redemptions, and I'm excited. This is a spinoff that's up there. I think next to Bad Batch, the Obi-Wan show. Like, I'm very excited for this one because already what we've seen of Boba has been awesome. I would have been, of course, I want to see as much Boba as I can, but I would have been satisfied if this is all we got. Like, I already think Boba's back up to being the badass I always thought he was.
Oh yeah,
and him getting his own thing where he's basically, I guess he's going to be ruling all of Hut space, which is a large section of space. Like, to be like in charge of that. It's going to be awesome. And I like those gritty crime. Like, I like Star Wars when it's gritty. So, very excited for this one.
Very happy for Tamora Morrison, him getting a chance.
For sure. Love his voice.
Great.
Love his act. Everything. Yep.
So great for him to come back. Another thing with this Boba Fett show is I'm really glad that this was also kept hidden. I'm glad they didn't announce it with all the other shows, because then we would have been looking for it. Just like how they kept Luke completely quiet. No reports got out about that at all. I'm glad that happened with this Boba Fett show, the book of Boba Fett. If we saw it coming, if we weren't just sitting there like reflecting on the episode, we probably would have missed the post-credit scene because it just took us so long for us to sit there and take it all in. That eventually it just played. So yeah, that is about everything I wanted to say. Anything else before we wrap up that you got?
Quickly. You said the title book of Boba Fett. I remember we both thought it was literally a book. Confirmed, not a book.
Yeah.
I also heard people talking this would be Mando season 3. Also not that.
No.
Own show, own spinoff.
Own thing.
More starring role. So yeah, I want to correct that because I remember one of the comments, and shout out the comments. Got a lot of comments on the reaction video.
Yes, please comment.
But yeah,
I will heart every single one of them, and if I don't, I will Venmo you $2. I don't know.
You heard it here first. So, if you can get a screenshot of your comment without the heart on it, you get $2 Venmo.
Yeah, but not like an hour. Like you gotta give me the day. Like I could be at work or something. So, I will actually not give you $2. So, final reviews. We'll do it quickly here. This episode, I have to go, I would say 9.5. And the 0.5 there for me is just what I was talking about earlier with the Darktroopers. And like that whole part, that was a big part of the like a big story-wise. That could have, if that Darktrooper defeats Mando, then this could be a whole different thing. I mean, Luke still would have showed up, but we wouldn't have the interaction with Gideon and all that. Just like the lack of more intelligence from them. I don't know. It just felt like that. It took me out just a little bit. I was like, wow, they could do better than that. But that's pretty much the only thing I could think about. That would be a reason not to give it 10 out of 10. So what would your rating be?
I've watched this episode, I think 5 times. I've literally lost track.
I think I'm at 4.
To take the hype. Yeah, but I've tried to take the hype goggles off. I watched it before we've recorded this.
Mm-hmm.
Now I mentioned flaws with it, some stuff that took me out of it, but I gotta go 10 out of 10 for the reason that
definitely fair.
I think this is my favorite episode of the whole series so far, and it's one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars media.
That's definitely
in
fair,
a long time.
I can agree with that.
Of course, there's flaws, but I don't think I'm going to knock them. I think the overall package we got, the surprises they let two big surprises, spinoff series and Luke, how they kept that under wraps. I think I got to go 10, and I think this is a good place to plug coming soon, hopefully very soon. We're going to do for season 2 individually, an entire, I guess, review of all the episodes and kind of matching them up one by one and ranking each one. And
are we
going to try to keep it.
Yeah, like, are we each going to have a list? Yeah, because we can't.
I would like to, so we can argue our points. But we're going to try to keep it just, I guess, favorite and not best, because there has been a lot of good quality, but we want to go for just Star Wars in general what we like.
Yeah,
but
basically it's going to be
keep
once. Yeah, but it will be the order in which we like the episodes, not necessarily which ones are objectively better quality wise, because that could be a whole different list. So definitely look out for that. Check out the reaction to this episode. That will be linked down below. Again, thank you for all the views and comments and likes on that one. Anybody new coming from that video, hello, welcome, stick around. Hopefully, let us know what your favorite part of the episode was. I don't know. Just talk about it. We want to talk to you about it. So yeah, we're going to wrap it up here because I think we're at like an hour and 20 minutes or something at this point, which is fine because it could be longer for the finale. It's a finale. We're not going to be able to do this again for a year. So
there was a lot to talk about.
I'm willing to let it slide. Merry Christmas. This will probably go up either Christmas or the day after Christmas. I don't know yet because I can't edit it when we're done recording because it's 1 a.m. and I have to go to work at 9:30 on Christmas Eve, 9:30 a.m. But so whenever this goes up, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. If we don't, we'll probably get maybe 1 or 2 more videos out before the New Year. But if we don't, Happy New Year. Thanks for being there for the last couple months or last month or so of this year, and hopefully 2021 will be much better. And hopefully it'll be bigger for the channel. So yeah, thanks for watching. Check out all the stuff I was talking about. We have an Instagram you can go follow, and we will talk to you soon. Goodbye.
We're saluting, but you can't see. We're saluting, but you can't see.
We're gonna say that every time.
Every time. Shout out Midichlorians. Shout out Craig.
Yo.
I know I had to get shout them out both.
That's fine.
You can't shout out Craig enough, dude.
You can't not shout him out.